Hey, welcome to the Anonymous Podcast. Well, I guess now it ain't too much anonymous at all because we're showing our face, but it's something new, so it's all good. All right. So welcome to our new layout that we trying. We might have some hiccups, but it's all good. Don't worry about it. It'll be okay. So today's subject, we had planned something else, but shoot, we had different plans and came up. So um I have a question for you. This week been having a few people contact us and having problems, and they want to know if do you think people are born bad people? What you think?
Yeah.
Think so? Really?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a hard one to that's a hard one because I think you do have people that, we know that things are genetic. Sometimes people are just like people in their family. And so we know like genetics, but also I think that when you have to look at the environment that someone's raised in, the people that they're around, maybe the things that they put themselves around, maybe even dabble in, I think that that is all a contributing factor. So maybe if someone's not born bad or evil, that, the things that are going on or things that they're around, the people, I think that can make them a bad person.
Mhm.
But then at the same time, like you hear about like some serial killer stuff that like they've been doing bad things since they were kids.
Yeah.
So, like, do kids always learn that, or they just sometimes born that way? And I don't know. It's a tough one.
I don't know. I think a person can be okay. I don't know. Maybe this question you can't do it both ways, but let's just do it both ways because I'm gonna do it both ways.
Right.
So I think genetically you can be born that way. You got two serial killer parents. There's a possibility they're gonna like to kill something. But I think about in a case recently, I had someone come talk to me about their manager, you know, kind of treating them any kind of way and stuff like that. And one thing I have to tell them, you can't control these people. A lot of times they have personal issues at home. A lot of times you have like managers and stuff. They come to work and try to talk to people and do them any kind of way because maybe they being bullied at home by their wife,
Mhm.
or their husband. So they'll bring it to work and try to talk to you any kind of way. A lot of times they come talk to you any kind of way because maybe they having problems at home with just feeling like they inadequate with whatever they got going on. So it just me personally, like I tell anybody um that you can't take it serious, I guess. Just get your money and come to work and do your job and take your ass home, I guess. I guess that's the way you have to put it. What you think about managers that come to work and pretty much just show out on everybody that they can find?
Well, I think we've all had those managers, that's for sure. I mean, and that don't even be just about working in one line of work. A lot of times people think that just because you work a minimum wage job, that your supervisor, your manager, or leader, whatever, is automatically rude to you. But I've had jobs that were in customer service and had great managers who were super caring and accommodating. And then I've worked at higher levels of professionalism and just had, maybe the owner, maybe the clinical leader, maybe the one who had the highest education
Yeah,
on paper would just talk to everybody like they were a dog. Or if I was like the middle person, then I would see, the top person talking, just dogging out the bottom person, but not the person in the middle. So it's like I
yeah,
would get bypassed. And so, I just think that we've all had it. But I'm with you. Like at the end of the day, if they're not messing with my money or messing with me spiritually or physically, like I'm just going to go get the job done.
yeah,
If it's to the extent where you feel like you're being targeted, you're being bullied, harassed, then absolutely, like you got to talk to somebody about that. But, sometimes it's easiest just to go get something else to do.
yeah,
And we we've been in that situation where it's like, man, like I've done a job that's maybe here on the ladder and I just am miserable. So I'm going to take a pay cut. I'm going to take an hour reduction. I'm going to take a different environment because at the end of the day, my sanity is a lot more important than that paycheck because I don't have to be around somebody being so mean all the time.
Yeah. And I tell them too, don't go to work showing out, want to slap people and do all kind of crazy stuff, because pretty much at the end of the day, they make you look like the fool, um, and you have to understand too, if you're dealing with somebody at your job, you have to treat them like a dog, pretty much. The reason I say treat them like a dog, because do you get mad at a dog for barking? If this person, do you, okay, do you personally, do you want this person to be a better person? You probably don't really care anything about them like that. So, okay, I tell you what, don't worry about how rude they are to you. What you do is you get yourself in a position where you can leave and go do something with yourself. This person, if they 40, 30, 30, 40, 50 years old, 60 years old, you can't change the way these people think. So what you do is you don't worry about all that. You don't worry about that. Let them just go on with their life and treat the next person, because one thing you need to know, you're not going to be the only person that they treat like that. They're going to treat the next person like that and the next person like that, because that's who they are. That's what they do.
Yeah.
That's their personality. That's what they do shit for a living. So for you to get mad and bring your blood pressure up because you worried about what they said to you or who is talking about you, you wasting your time. I think a lot of times that shows people's age, you know. But and I tell anybody like to watch these podcasts or listen to them, because we giving you the cheat codes to this whole game of life. Pretty much, it's a cheat code. It's just all about people telling you in advance what to look for. If you choose not to listen to this junk and you choose not to do it, or not to like govern your life based off of things that we tell you that we've dealt with, that's on you. That's your fault. Especially if you see this. But back to that, you know, you don't get mad at the dog for barking because you expect a dog to bark. You expect the dog to beg. You expect all that stuff. So expect bad things out of bad people. You know, and you think about it, it's bad that the world have come to expect bad things out of bad people. Because have you ever had a job where they say, "Oh well, that's how she is. She's always been that way. It's okay because that's just how it go." Why do you think these people get a pass when everybody else be punished for what they do or get in trouble for what they do? Why is it that certain people get a pass? And I know that people feel like they be targeted, and certain people get away with a lot of stuff doing people bad. And that falls into, again, the question that why does it feel like all the bad people end up getting away and nothing ever happens to them? Do they ever get their chance of being like punished for things that they've done to people?
I believe so. I mean, back to like the manager, situation, like, you expect a dog to bark and they're gonna bark, so don't be mad when they bark.
Mhm.
But, I think we've always looked at it, and I looked at it as I gotta try to be better than, not about being like the bigger person and walking away from that job and saying like I took the high road today, but it's saying like I'm gonna be better at your job than you are. So, if you're in a field that you're looking to grow or it's something that you want to advance in, I say like try to beat them at their game. Like be the competitive person that says, I'm gonna be that position one day and I'm going to be better at it than you and I'm going to have more success than you and I'm going to because at the end of the day I'm a better person.
Right.
And so just like trying to encourage people to do that, it's hard to get people to see that you can be better than someone instead of trying to change them. Or especially like you said, do you care if they're a better person? And if you don't, if it's not somebody at your around you that you want to see them improve or grow, then like let that junk go and try to just be better than them, because and even to go on like, bad people and good people like get what they deserve, I think they do. I just think that it's not on our timing. It's not what we want. It's on a universal timing that is hard because like, nobody is patient. But you look at the maybe a manager and I'm sure we can recall them, privately, like who we could think that would be not a good person that we've worked with or worked for, or whatever. And we looking at that, we can like look at them now and say, man, like look, nothing got better with their life. Or maybe there's something that we've, been able to find out like that got worse for them, or like something bad happened in their life. And then they came back to you and was like, man, I'm sorry for the way I treated you
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago. And, sometimes people make amends before they, take it to the grave or whatever. But I look at it that it's coming. Like, if you are gonna mistreat someone and you have you are ill intent with all of that, like I truly believe, like I put my faith on that you get what you deserve.
Yeah, and I think, and it's amazing that you say you put your faith on it, because one thing I do hate to hear people say that God gives what his hardest challenges to his greatest soldiers or whatever. Man, I don't like when people say that, because a lot of times people can say, well, why do babies get sick, and why do good people get sick? And that's a question that we don't have an answer to. I really wish people would stop saying that,
Yeah.
because in my days I've dealt with stuff like that, seeing people being sick and they didn't deserve it. And me personally, like, I don't care how people feel about it. I know a lot of people that could have deserved that, like, and people can get upset by that, but I really don't care at all. It's, I look at it. I know a lot of people that are bad people and walking around perfectly healthy, and it ain't nothing. So when I hear people say, all your greatest warriors, I just feel like that's bullcrap. you know but I do think it's not on our timing. I know people have done bad things to people, and they still walking around, and walking around, and to me, it's a good thing that I'm not God. And it's a reason that we're not God, because we don't forgive like him. And I guess that's the way that rolls. But yeah, I definitely think that you know what well, tell me something. So how you feel about, why you think a lot of people get passes? Why do
Mhm.
people that their whole time in their life, they haven't done anything for anybody that's positive, that people really can, like, go into detail about, like, why do they get a pass?
I think it's expectations. And I think, like, sometimes we talk about like if you don't have expectations, you don't be disappointed, you know.
Hmm.
And I look at you think about everybody probably has had this happen in the classroom when they were a kid. Like, you're doing good, you're getting the A's, you're getting the B's, like you're getting all the really good grades, but little Johnny over there is always cutting up in class, skipping class, sleeping in class. But then the day that he makes a C, a passing
Yeah.
grade, then everybody's like, oh, look what he did. And there's so much rewarding. And we've seen that in the classroom as adults. It's like, but what about, him or her over here that is always doing what they're supposed to be doing? That expectation is there. So that expectation that little um Sally is
Mhm.
always getting the A's. And so when she gets another A, it's like, oh yeah, well duh. Like she always gets A's. Why wouldn't she get an A? But that's the wrong way. I feel like to be in the classroom or to be in life, like, no, like let's reward, like give that reward where it's deserved. So if it's getting the A's, if that's what we're talking about, then like great job for her. She should always be rewarded. But I
Mhm.
think that it does come down to expectations. You can think of everybody can think about somebody in their family that is always just the sorry person. Everybody just knows it. It's almost like it's understood that like they just sorry. And so again, that expectation that they always going to be sorry. And then when they get one type of job, or they start paying a bill, or they show up to, whatever it is that they're supposed to do, then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, look what they did. And you're
Yeah.
just like, I've been doing that. Or that other cousin over there, or that other family member over there has been doing that the whole time that we've been, having these whatever kind of conversations or meetings. So, um, I think it creates like if you talk about your kids or like in a classroom, I think it makes for some angry people because you're like, I'm always doing what's right. And if one time that Johnny does it, he get the pizza party, but I'm always pulling the weight for myself, and I think it can make kids angry. Like,
Yeah.
and I think it can make them want to just give up. Like, think about it, sports. We played sports. Like, if you're the one going to practice, you're putting on extra conditioning, you're doing extra drills, you're getting outside, not tutoring, what's the word? Like
Training.
outside support,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
training, then you're putting in the effort, but the person who's a senior or has more seniority gets to play over you. Eventually you just might say, man, screw this, I'm gonna either transfer or I'm just gonna quit the sport,
Yeah.
because I'm putting everything in, but this person has it out for me because I'm not, maybe I'm a freshman and they're a senior or something.
Yeah, I remember when I used to teach when I was in Macon, we used to have kids, they would just show out, tear the classroom up, beat the teacher up, all kinds of stuff. Then one day they'll come to school and do their work. And the teacher just, oh, Terrence really doing good today. And I'm looking like, what in the world? The little kids coming to me after class crying and stuff. Mr. Pope, man, I'll always do my job. I always do what I'm supposed to do. I got all A's and he got all L's. And today he got one A and she gave him some candy. And they come up to me crying and stuff. What am I supposed to tell them? Because I think across the board, just like you said, even with grown people, they just say, well, that's how he is. That's a serious problem, man. It's a serious problem. And the only way that's gonna stop is that you have to start with your kids having expectations of being a great person, period. Because I saw the first downfall of it when they started giving out honorable mention ribbons. I remember being in field day, and when I got second place, I didn't want it.
Yeah.
I would literally put it in my book bag and roll it up. We had those little ribbons. I think
Hmm.
first place was white, second place was blue, third place, I don't even know because I ain't ever get one. But
Yeah.
I remember seeing maybe they were orange or something, but I can't remember. But
Yeah.
I
Okay.
remember don't give me an honorable mention, and I didn't want second place because I always just wanted to be first place. But when I first started seeing people getting ribbons for just trying, and then they started giving trophies, it was over with. You know, it's okay. You might not be the greatest person at this sport or what you do, but don't congratulate a person for just going out there and showing up. I'm against that. But I mean, I guess that's for another story, another time. But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely think that was the first sign of like, people not really caring about being a winner. And it's not about a person being a loser or winner, but you have to give effort, and that's an effort in life, you know. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, and I mean, to go off like what you were saying about how you raise it starts with like being at the home. I think you have to, our generation was a kind of probably the last generation to get like the real ribbons in first, second, third place for like actual achievements. But I think you at home, it maybe how we can shift that perspective and help is you teach your kid that like your success doesn't rely on anybody else. So Johnny can still be failing all his classes and you may not get that recognition that you want, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you have a goal in mind. And I think you have to help your kids identify that goal. And even if it's like I want perfect attendance, that was a big deal back in our day of like having perfect attendance. If they want that, then don't worry about how many times other people miss class or how many F's they have. Like if that's what you want to do, then your happiness can't rely on someone else's failures or successes. I think you have to teach your kids that young, because if you don't, and then they come into contact with a bad person, then they could become that bad person, or that bad person can have like a lot of influence on them, and then they're the ones making the F's. They're the ones quitting the sports team. They're the ones running around at night, because now I don't care about what I do because I lost my goal in mind in life was to be successful at whatever it is.
Okay, so that I know we touched on it before, but in your opinion, how do you, and I'll tell you my opinion, how do you identify a bad person?
I think it depends on your stage of life. I think
Mm,
that, when we were kids, we didn't recognize it other than maybe, well, that kid said something mean and we saw somebody bullying somebody, or you saw them like, throw things at people. So you're like, man, they're just not very nice, or push a
mm,
little kid, especially when you start to, when you get in like the ages where you have like fifth graders and kindergartners on the bus together,
mhm.
like seeing that, okay, if you're a fifth grader and you finna push down a kindergartner, like you're mean. So then I think it progresses as you get through high school and then you get through college. Like, but I think things that you can identify a bad person is how they treat other people around them. I know a lot of people have said this all over the internet and all that good stuff, but like when you first go on a date with someone, looking at how that person treats the person serving food, you
Mm.
know, like, are they rude? Are they demanding? We touched on it last week about cultural differences, but you go out to eat with somebody and they say, give me that steak. That should be, something that maybe in your mind that says, man, they were really rude. Like if they'll talk to that person that way and they're serving us food, then maybe they'll talk to me that way and I'm not, and I'm not going to like it. So I think it's watching how they treat other people. And I think it's also important to see how, pay attention to how that person treats someone who's a different demographic or a different social and economic status.
Yeah.
Like if like how they treat poor people, or how they treat people who are homeless, or people who have a different type of lifestyle and job or whatever. Like I think that says volumes about a person, as of like the respect that they show outwardly towards people they don't even know.
Yeah. And I'm gonna touch on what you talking about, but I'm gonna keep going on with you. So how do you treat people that tries to associate with you, but associates with people that have bad intentions, or are kind of like have I guess their ideology is in a bad direction. How do you treat a person that's associated with them but then want to associate with you? Do you totally not associate yourself with that person, or how do you like separate that?
I think it has to be one of those things like you what's that old saying, um treat it like with a stick type of thing, where like
Yeah.
you can poke it to see if it's a snake, and then it's a snake because you didn't get close enough.
Hmm.
So I think it's like, you know, eh, but also then you have like that guilty by association thing, right? That the law would look at. So how do we look
Yeah.
at that how do we look at that personally? I think it's very like case by case, obviously, because we don't, know all the details of what this person wants to know about. But um, I look at it as it's very matter of fact.
Hmm.
Oh, that's great. Oh, cool. Think about somebody at work who you might know who's trying to play the middle person. They
Yeah.
trying to be on the good side of the supervisor, but then they also try to be on the good side of you, but you and the supervisor beef all the time. So I
Right.
think you have to be very cautious of like, well, if I rant and talk to this middle person, are they just going to go tell the manager everything I said? Or, then if they do that, are they going to come tell me everything that the manager said? Because, you know, we can talk about things spiritually, like, don't be lukewarm,
Yeah.
spit that out of your mouth. And so, like, if that's, if you feel convicted by that motto, then like a middle person or someone who associates with evil but tries to be on your good side, like you're supposed to spit them out and rebuke them.
And I heard a story, and I don't know if I got this 100% correct. It's like a biblical story, I guess, but I'm gonna tell you the story anyway. So they said that it was an angel on one side and it's the devil on one side, and you had a fence down the middle. And this guy didn't know what side that he wanted to pick, so he always sit on the fence. Okay, he sit on the fence, and the angel on one side kept saying, "Come follow me, that you're gonna be free and you're gonna go to heaven and you're gonna live and you're gonna be happy for the rest of your life." On the other side, you had the little devil saying, "Come with me. I'm gonna show you riches and give you great things and stuff, and you're gonna be happy." This went on for days and days and days and days and days and days. The man never chose a side, what side of that fence he wanted to be on. He always wanted to ride that middle gray area. until one day the devil came up to him and he said, come on with me. I choose for you. And the man said, I haven't chose between none of you guys. I'm on the fence. He said, what you fail to realize, you never chose what side to go to, and you never chose what side that you want to ride with. But guess what? I own this fence.
Mm,
And people have to think about that when they try to ride between both sides of the fence. Sometimes you're being manipulated by that side of that person that owns that fence, and they
mhm.
taking your I'm a huge believer in a person sucks your energy and uses you for they power. You know,
Mhm.
when they can't communicate and talk to other people, they come talking to you and want to be your friend all of a sudden because they don't have nobody to talk to. But if you do your history report and look back, they never want to hang out with you or be your friend. But then
Yeah.
you think about it, your behavior didn't change. Now they want to come around you and be your friend. So like
Yeah.
if you right,
I was just saying, like, that's, to take your example and do it, to also put a spin on it that we hear a lot of people talk about is like silence speaks volumes,
mm,
so like that, being silent and not speaking out or speaking up or standing your ground. And, again, another saying, like, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And
yeah,
so I think that that is something that I've learned as I've grown through my adulthood and into being the phase of my life that I am now. Like, you have to stand up for yourself, whether that's in any facet, at the grocery store, at, a family reunion, at work, at your place of worship, like whatever, you have to stand up for yourself. And that's something that's still being learned, I think, continuously. And I think, there's a difference sometimes between like how men and women handle, you know, standing up for themselves. But I think you have to, and you have to at some point take a stand and say, like, I just can't ride with that evil anymore. Like, it's just not what I want. I rebuke it. I don't want to be a part of that. Like, let's just be happy.
yeah. So I asked you questions. What you want to have for me?
I mean, how do you get rid of an evil? Like, from a man's perspective, because I think, women we can tend to be a little bit more passive. We can tend to be a little bit more naive, and sometimes I think, due to maybe even people who aren't moms, because this isn't just about being a mom, but like the maternal energy that people can have, like, it can be sucked from us. It can be used to say, oh, you care too much about people. So, that's what they say a lot about women. Oh, you care too much. You care too much. Um,
Mhm.
as a dude, like, when you recognize like someone is making you tired or zapping your energy, or just like you walk into work and you're just mad,
Yeah.
like, what do you do to get away from them if you.
Well, job wise, um, I just find me another job to go to. I don't have time to sit there and be aggravated and irritated about that. I'm not gonna argue with you. I don't do that because I see people that here today, gone next year. I don't understand. I don't get the purpose of the arguing thing. I'm not gonna argue with anybody. I tell you up front how I feel about something. If we don't agree about this, and that I'm gone. See, one thing I learned from the recession when I graduated, I went to school, and I've told you, and I just tell them, I went to school to be a lawyer at first. When I went to University of Alabama to study law. I did the political science thing, and then I ended up going to Coastal Carolina and doing political science, and that's what I graduated with. But I realized I didn't want to be a liar. I ain't gonna call every lawyer a liar, but they have to lie about some stuff like that. But I didn't want to be a liar for a living. That's the way that I viewed everything. Um, I think, man, it just the way I deal with people. I just try to. I don't know, man. I tell you, this is what I do. I tell people that I don't want to end up giving you a life sentence. You know, I don't want to give them a life sentence. So what I do is I give them the opportunity to um to do the right thing at first, to do the right thing. And if they can't do that, if it's not heard from me the right way, I try to do it again. I try to, break my words down verbatim and tell them how I feel about the situation. If don't some people don't listen to you. They'll talk through another person to talk to you. And if that's the kind of energy that you have, I don't deal with them for the rest of my life. And I don't feel bad about it at all, man. I learned that from like I guess my experiences in life. I see people I see people every year like lose loved ones just looking at the news or whatever. And I don't know. I just don't have time. And the reason I said that, I went to school to do the law thing is because I used to see like we used to do like these little trials and stuff and read about a lot of things, how people would just be liars. And you see that in the world today, people just lie about everything. And a lot of times you can say, well, why you treated me this way? And they have all these excuses for treating you a certain type of way, and it don't add up. But for some reason it adds up to them. So how I got to the point where I was like, well, if you have to lie to me, I just can't be around you. And that's the way that I deal with that. Um, I don't have no remorse from breaking away from people and not talking to them no more. I just don't. I don't have none at all.
Yeah.
And it's sad you have to be that way, but some people, man, they'll drag you down, man, and just take everything that you have. And then they just move on to the next person. That's the way that they work. They just move on and move on and move on and move on. And then eventually, like, they done sucked up everybody's energy.
Yeah, like it's like a, like a bottom feeder that they're always just like looking for more and more and more. And we say stuff all the time like misery loves company. So like just taking it all the way back to the beginning with a manager, there's something with that person possibly going on in their personal life. And either if you want to help somebody out, that's cool. But if that's not your place, or you don't feel that that's your purpose, then don't try to fix nobody's home life.
Yeah.
Just, go to work or go find another job. Because a lot of hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And so they can be going through some, crazy stuff at home. We've worked in different fields that where there's been, sometimes home lives are in shambles, and they take that junk out on everybody at work. Like the sky is blue and they're mad at you because they had to come to work. But
Hmm.
like that, you coming to work ain't got nothing to do with me. Like,
So,
you don't have to come to work. You don't have to be in this program. You don't have to be, um, in the vicinity of me. Like, but you mad about everything that's going on, and then, take it out on other people. Like that takes us back to the, what episode was that? Um, two or three or four, where we were just talking about, what other people like try to get out of you. And, if they're, something could be missing in their relationship intimately.
yeah.
And so then, they're just mean at work, or they're mean at school, or maybe they're your friend and like y'all go out for coffee. Sorry. Y'all go out for coffee and they're just like super rude to the people ordering and like just tripping about everything. And you're like, if when it's a friend, you could be like, what is your problem? Like, but if that's not what your purpose is and it ain't somebody you feel like doing that with, like, I just say, to people, like, just find something else to do.
Yeah. Man, that sometimes the world throw you a lot of curveballs because over the years, from when I first met you, we've always talked about people that just want to do bad things to people, and just seem like they just run off and never be punished for it. um yeah, I don't know who make these people, but evidently somebody came together and made this.
Yeah,
you
and
know
that takes it, this earlier when you were saying like, are people born bad? Like, I think, we can all say maybe, the babies are supposed to be innocent, but man, from the moment they come to the earth side and they're in this world, they're exposed to so much, and it can either be a good exposure of what needs to happen, or it can be a bad exposure. And that don't do nobody any good. you know,
Yeah.
and it can really make, I think, somebody bad if they weren't already bad, you know, genetically, then it can definitely alter someone's, you know, ability to be a good person.
Yeah. So what else you got for me?
Um, I think, you know, I'd like to hear your like more opinion on like, do you think that people can change? You know, we talk about don't try to change your manager, but you know, can evil be changed?
Uh,
Can you turn a serial killer not into a serial killer?
I think so. Hold on, wait. I don't know about a serial killer, but that's their problem. I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about no serial killer. But what I'm uh well, I think that people that are bad people, they can be changed. You know, people can see their flaws and hopefully are pretty much work on it to become a better person. But on the other side of that, I don't know if anybody's seen like the Avengers and stuff. You have to worry about the Lokis out there. You know,
Mhm.
they give you this sight of like, oh, I understand what I did wrong, but really in the back of their mind, they didn't came up with this elaborate scheme that they really learning from what you didn't just told them. So next time they're gonna do something better. Kind of like when Loki wanted to stab Thor and he had the little knife behind his back or whatever. You look at like different stuff in the Bible, they have stuff behind their back when really, you know, they thinking something else. So they trying to get back on your good side. So the next time they can attack a different type of way.
Yeah.
You have to think about that. And that's most people, you know, they trying to see how they can, especially if you have a situation where they have a problem with somebody and they still don't address the issue with them, or they feel like you know, they don't acknowledge that person by name, you know. So really nothing ever changed. It's the same way. So the way I look at that whole thing is that um man, I don't know if they can change. You know, you can try to. Some people like everything, you know, a lot of people don't like to hear the word race and stuff like that, but I think I do. I've seen some people see a person as like, let's just say they are like a black person or something like that, and as they get to know the person, they seem pretty cool about them, but they do address them as a human being, you
Mhm.
know, and call them by their name and don't call them by something crazy. It's crazy that one time I went to an event. Um, and the man asked me my name, and I told him my name was Trevino. You know, I thought maybe he was gonna ask me if I was Hispanic. He said, Toby? I said, what the fuck? Did he just say Toby? Yeah, I didn't catch it because I thought maybe he was just deaf. I was like, no, my name's Trevino. How you doing? Shook his hand and everything. He said, your name Toby? And I remember getting in the car with you on the way back home, and I was like, man, just call me Toby. And I remember we got probably about
Yeah, it took us a minute.
yeah, I don't forgot where we were. And I was like, man, Toby is like Kunta Kinte's slave name. I was like, I can't believe what just happened to me. And I was, let me see, I was 20, I was 29, 30 then, something like that. 31,
Yeah,
whatever,
early 30s.
30 something.
So yeah.
30, 30, 32, was it 32?
Okay,
And I
yeah.
couldn't believe that was the most blatant racism I ever seen in my life. And people always say that, you know, black people throwing racism, man. That that junk happened. That junk was crazy. Like sooner we came from the funeral, dude. I mean, while we was waiting to eat, the man asked me what my name, Toby. I never told anybody about that junk. I kept that to myself. I only told you.
Mhm.
Now, do that supposed to hurt my feelings? Nah, I really don't care. But I know next time not to speak to that person and not to
Right.
be around that person, because if a person would do that, no matter how much I talk to them, how much I see them, how much I shake their hand, how much I show them that I'm not this stereotypical person that they think that's in the news.
Mhm.
They don't see me. They see me as Toby, or Toby, maybe Toto from Wizard of Damn Oz or something.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't see me as a human being. So, and that's fine. That's something they have to live with, and that's cool. So, to answer your question, I don't know if sometimes people can change. Sometimes I think they take that. that stupidity and ignorance to the grave, you know. And maybe if people believe in people coming back, maybe they'd be a different person. But
Hmm.
I'm the person to believe that you got racist ghosts out there.
Hmm.
You know, that's why when we do photo shoots, we don't go over there to Kennesaw Battlefield, because I'm not taking no pictures over there because I don't feel like I'm wanted over there. So, but again, that's another story too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely I think some people can change though. You don't write them all off. You don't write
Yeah.
people all off that, you know, that feels that they feel a certain way right now. Don't mean they're gonna feel like that for the rest of their life or whatever. But I do think that you have to be very, very aware who you deal with, because you have some people that's playing both sides of that fence. And what they'll do is they'll sit there and get like information from you, then run back and tell the other person and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And that's kind of just wasting everybody's time.
Yeah. And I think when you recognize that, you know, you've done everything you're supposed to do in any environment, work, relationships, friends, family, whatever, and you've taken the steps that you feel are appropriate, and that person isn't changing, isn't willing to change, is stuck in their ways, like, you can't beat yourself up over that. Like, you can say, I did my part and I made my peace, so now I just have to step away,
Yeah.
um because a lot of times people we see in relationships, people that we know we've talked to recently, and we're just like, don't you see what we're seeing? Like, they're just, that's something that laziness about that person is not going to change. That rudeness about that person is not going to change. So if you can't live with that because you need them to pick up their socks, then you got to walk away from it.
Yeah. And I do look at when we first met, you know, we look at a lot of stuff differently because we've been talking what 9, 10 years.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I remember you know, I'm older than you, and I remember, you know, hipping you with a whole bunch of bull crap back in the day. And but I remember telling you like you got to get that kind of stuff about your life, because they don't do nothing but suck the life out you, and then they just move on to the next sucker. And that, not saying that you a sucker, but what I'm saying is I knew when I met you for the first time what you was dealing with, because I hadn't seen it before, and I was older than you, so I just seen these type of people. I seen them, the pieces of the shit. I
Yeah.
seen them before I knew how to deal with them. You know, I I you know I don't know. I don't know. I just keep my mouth closed on some of that stuff.
Yeah, but and I think that goes to, like, how do you recognize a good person and how do you recognize a bad person? And I was saying earlier, like, I think it depends on the stage in life. I think that it sucks, but I think the older you get, the easier it is to recognize that. And maybe that just comes from pure experience of people. Maybe that comes from just your age and, like, your brain development, whatever you want to say about all that. But, like, I
Mhm.
think that we heard somebody the other day say, and they were young, they were like in their early 20s. We overheard somebody, we're eavesdropping at the coffee shop, that they said, you're really not grown until you're 30. And they were like 20 something talking to like this 17 or 18-year-old. And I was like, and then when he said, like, "You really not grown until you 30," I was like, I remember hitting 30, and I remember when you were 30, and, like, your perspective really does change at that age, and I think that you start to see life differently. You start to see, maybe you make different moves in your personal life or whatever, and so, and it's not to bash any of the young people out there, but it's like, hey, if somebody is older than you and they trying to give you some advice about somebody being good or bad, like, if you're not ready to listen, then at least ask more questions so that
Yeah.
that person can maybe try to help guide you. And then that way, I'm not wasting my time by trying to give you advice, because I could tell you're still coming back for more knowledge from me.
Yeah, I remember I forgot episode you had brought that up, and that was crazy because we saw that guy again at that Starbucks, and we talked about that
Mhm.
in the car.
Yeah.
But yeah, but yeah, I guess, you know, that's all we can say to everybody on here. You know, y'all go check out some of the podcasts and stuff. Y'all been sleeping, y'all been looking at the first one, you just went crazy. And the last one, my podcast we didn't have enough people to be old enough to drink. Y'all wrong now, but it's all good though. We're gonna keep pressing because we're gonna keep doing our, because this might help somebody in the long run. But you know, I tell you guys, you know, man, y'all go share this stuff and tell people about the podcast or whatever. If you don't, it don't matter. It won't hurt my feelings. Maybe you just use it for yourself. But yeah, but our podcast aside, like, what you doing tonight?
Gonna go watch a movie with you.
Oh, you gonna let me come pick you up?
Yeah.
Oh, for real? Oh, I thought you had a man already. Why? What you laughing at?
Laugh because you're my husband.
What? I'm gonna come pick you up then. How about that?
Okay, come get us in the Mom-mobile.
All right then. You ain't got no kids, do you?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay, he sleep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Man, I'm sleepy. Okay, let me shut this out. Don't say anything crazy.
Okay.
All right. We'll see y'all. I'm finna come over there and pick you up in a few minutes. Hey, we'll see y'all. Y'all be safe. If y'all got somebody that don't make you feel pretty, y'all know what I tell you, get rid of them. Y'all need to have a conversation. Everybody's not bad. You know, we try to have fun on these podcasts, but man, it's a lot of people that be going through things and they need to hear stuff. If you don't like what we talk about, it always something else to go do. Go wash dishes or wash your ass. But it's all good. And we love everybody. And we'll be back on Wednesday. You know, we'll always be there. Y'all just hold in tight. Y'all keep bringing the little DMs, asking me questions and stuff like that. You know, I never tell your name. I don't want to put people out there like that because we all go through something, and it's okay to go through something, because when you go through something, a lot of times it make you a better person. All right, then. Oh yeah, everybody brush your teeth tonight.
Yep, get shiny teeth.
Some pretty teeth. All right, I'll see you guys. All right, we love you.
Have a good week.
All right.